This evening, government and private sector push for green energy. Canada and Guyana to host International Women's Day concert. Minister Greenwich chides critics of the ExxonMobil contract.
From Safe TV headquarters in South Rival Gardens, this is Safe TV Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Today is Thursday, March the 8th, 2018, and this edition of Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Guyana's greatest weapon in the fight against blackouts and high energy costs may be the sun itself. Wendell Jeffrey tells us that the government and the private sector is pushing for the advancement of solar power in Guyana.
This is the thing. If you're paying 33 or 27 to 33 cents per kilowatt hour, and you can, through a leasing model, say, have between 16 and 20 cents for that. I mean, if I had a business, I wouldn't buy from GPL.
The Ministry of the Presidency's Department of Environment hosted a workshop on renewable energy at the Hotel Pegasus today. A cross-section of the private sector was in attendance. One of today's sessions focused on the scaling up of renewable energy. More specifically,
This evening, government and private sector push for green energy. Canada and Guyana to host International Women's Day concert. Minister Greenwich chides critics of the ExxonMobil contract.
From Safe TV headquarters in South Rival Gardens, this is Safe TV Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Today is Thursday, March the 8th, 2018, and this edition of Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Guyana's greatest weapon in the fight against blackouts and high energy costs may be the sun itself. Wendell Jeffrey tells us that the government and the private sector is pushing for the advancement of solar power in Guyana.
This is the thing. If you're paying 33 or 27 to 33 cents per kilowatt hour, and you can, through a leasing model, say, have between 16 and 20 cents for that. I mean, if I had a business, I wouldn't buy from GPL.
the Ministry of the Presidency's Department of Environment hosted a workshop on renewable energy at the Hotel Pegasus today. A cross-section of the private sector was in attendance. One of today's sessions focused on the scaling up of renewable energy. More specifically, making a case for installing more solar panels in Guyana. Chairing the session was Carolyn Litwin, head of the Global Green Growth Institute. Speaking of Guyana's green potential in the future, Litwin said that solar panels can compete successfully with GPL.
To the future, 2-3 years from now, you're going to have all this new construction, these new hotels, industries, the peak demand here is going to change. And my guess is, this market is either going to bypass GPL or they can get on board now. And that's what I've told them.
According to Litwin, outgrowing GPL is not likely, but it is very possible to greatly reduce the nation's reliance on the power company.
It's not to say that we're going to displace 70 megawatts through solar, because the land space, the rooftop space, is all going to be a restriction. But there's still quite an amount to be displaced. It's about the customers and having different sources of supply for the customer. We're not trying to displace GPL. We would want to work with GPL.
Litwin told the audience that there are no regulations in Guyana allowing nor preventing the consumer from operating outside of GPL's electrical grid.
There is no regulation that prevents this. Right? Did I answer? There's no regulation that facilitates it either.
The audience was also told that all the necessary equipment and installation materials for the solar panels can be sourced mainly from Brazil and Latin America. They were also advised to approach local banks to seek equity funding.
So we have financial institutions like IDB, World Bank, Caribbean Development Bank, and then there's also private.
For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks, Wendell. Today is International Women's Day. Guyana holds the distinction of having had an American female head of state before the United States. Additionally, this government boasts one of the highest percentages of female parliamentarians in the world. Nonetheless, we should not allow this to lull us into a false sense of accomplishment. Despite these and other recent gains made in recent years, women still face a long struggle for equality. Misogyny and gender-based violence are still rampant both domestically and abroad. In Guyana, since the beginning of 2017, there has been at least one report per month of a woman dying at the hands of her male partner, a trend that continues up to this month. The Caribbean Life in Leggings and the American Me Too movement show just how prevalent sexual violence against women is in society. As we take this day to celebrate the progress women have made thus far, we should never forget the fight to reach true gender parity. We here at Channel 2 Headline News join the rest of the world in wishing the women of Guyana, and of course the rest of the world, a happy International Women's Day. This Saturday, Guyana and Canada will come together to celebrate International Women's Day. I sat down with one of the musicians who will be performing at the event and filed this report.
I'll see everyone Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. at Promenade Gardens for the International Women's Day celebration by the High Commission of Canada.
Canada is a long-standing advocate for gender equality. For years, the Canadian government has considered the advancement of women and girls to be a central tenet for the advancement of human rights worldwide. In line with this position, the High Commission of Canada, in collaboration with the Ministry of Social Protection, is organizing a concert and expo entitled Press for Progress. The event is dedicated to educating, entertaining, empowering, and networking to celebrate International Women's Day. It is a free event with entertainment for the whole family. One of the performers of the event, classical jazz singer Faith Amour, explains the importance of International Women's Day.
I think the existence of these days means that there is an absence in some respect of some kind of equality where it wouldn't even be a thought. So to have, for example, Black History Month, if that wasn't necessary, if it felt like people were being represented equally, then it's a good chance that we wouldn't need a month like that. Women's History Month, International Women's Day, if we felt that there was parity between the genders, and equality, a male and female, then there probably wouldn't be a Women's Day any longer. But because that equality doesn't exist as yet, we need to keep that awareness. We need to continue to encourage people to give women the same opportunities that men receive, almost it seems naturally, or as a matter of habit. So International Women's Day is really a chance for people to kind of galvanize and come together and make an extra large push towards giving equal access and equal opportunities to women as have been given to men.
Faith is a first-generation Guyanese Canadian from Toronto. She hopes to inspire other young women to pursue their dreams as well.
People can start with a gift, but then if you don't actually pursue and press for progress, then sometimes it just stays where it is. It's stagnant. But if you are willing to, work hard, and if you have a community behind you that supports you and pushes you towards your potential, because some of us, never reach our potential because we just don't go for it and have the courage, overcoming that fear. So that's one of my biggest messages, like, don't let fear hold you back from doing the thing that is your passion, that that you were made for, and maybe no one else quite understands it, but you do. Go for it.
There will be over 20 booths from local NGOs, women-owned enterprises, diplomatic missions, as well as the government. The booths will offer a range of services including free health screenings, self-defense classes, yoga, and craft making. Speakers include First Lady Mrs. Sandra Granger, Minister of Social Protection Amna Ali, and the High Commissioner of Canada, Ms. Lillian Chatterjee. The International Women's Day Concert and Expo takes place Saturday, March 10th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Promenade Gardens. Residents of one East Coast Demerara village complain over the state of their community's infrastructure. Esther Sobers reports from Plaisance.
The villagers in Plaisance are furious about the roads and bridges conditions that they have to deal with every single day. Villagers of Ramos and Graham Streets spoke to Channel 2 Headline News about the issues in their community. They feel that they have been neglected by the National Democratic Council.
Yeah, we need this bridge. This bridge here, pensioners and school children is walking it, and right now it's in a deplorable state. And I'm glad if they could fix it so that we could feel safe walking on this bridge.
I'm a taxi driver in Plaisance. The bridge they need repair because it's a dangerous thing coming over them, and it's not just one, but more than one in the community. So if the MDC or someone else could look into it, let's get it repaired for us.
How long these bridges have been in this condition?
It's a while. The one more in front was more bad because of the line that bridge was doing. But then these ones start going because person has to use these also.
The wooden bridges are in dire need of repair. Nonetheless, the residents blame the NDC for not fixing the many infrastructural issues. Given the state of disrepair and the NDC's slot in making repairs, residents were asked if a community self-help exercise would be the quickest solution.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We could do that. We could go around and,
Because just someone can volunteer and just supply some wood, if someone can help build this.
Yeah, they got a lot of people wrong. They got good money. We could come together and put up a small piece and everybody, just do it.
I think we need to do some stuff, especially like for this one. This only need a few boards. I think there's a good idea, so I think yeah. But then there's some others that need major work.
However, another resident claims that the villagers had done some minor repairs to the bridges in the past.
We tried a couple of times. It was worse than this. And all those pieces of boards I see put on, is the same person that moved around this area that got a traverse there. They just come together and put up a board or two on.
Meanwhile, other villagers from Graham Street, Plaisance are absolutely confused about who exactly is responsible for providing them with a proper road.
Even here, this road never do. They always say Guy Suku in charge of this road. And we never, when the rain fall, there's a time people coming through it, and it's bad for we. And people living till at the back there. So we paying tax and we ain't getting no road, proper road. Because they say it's Guy Suku. They say it's Guy Suku in charge of the road. People saying that it's Guy Suku, they say Guy Suku road, and that is why the road undo. That is why hard. I can't get the entrance, I got to walk through people's yard. My son got 2 cars, I got park on people's land. And we want good road because I need to put a bridge here. The dam, the council, nobody ain't coming, Frankie's one. Ain't coming for clean up, we got to spend we own money and pay for weed it out. You understand? And down this place got enough thief, man. Whole day, whole night, look, I have to take money to put camera for me out to protect myself from it. All them bush we weed out, we spend we own money. We need good roads so that we could live comfortable.
The villagers of Graham Street, Plaisance are now seeking answers for the many problems they have in the community. For Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Does your community have unresolved issues as well? We want to hear from you. Contact the Channel 2 Headline News team on telephone number 218-4949, or you can leave a comment on our Facebook page. Guyanese-born author and poet Sir Wilson Harris has died today at the age of 96. Born on March 24, 1921 in New Amsterdam, Berbice, Harris is considered one of the most original and innovative voices in post-war literature in English. He has written 26 novels, numerous works of poetry, essays, and speeches. His writing style is often said to be abstract, densely metaphorical, and wide-ranging in subject matter. In 2010, he was awarded the honor of knighthood for services to literature by Queen Elizabeth II. After the break, Minister Greenwich defends ExxonMobil contract and chides detractors.
The Billion Souls Guyana Incorporated presents its third conference for pastors and leaders at the Princess Ramada Hotel, East Bank, Demerara, on Tuesday, March 13th and Wednesday, March 14th, 2018, from 9 a.m. sharp to 4 p.m. at an unbeatable cost of $15,000 per person. With speakers Reverend Ijaz Nabi of the USA, Dr. David Sabrapina of the Philippines, Dr. John Smith of Guyana, Dr. Kirsch Darville, and Dr. Burton Lockhart of the Bahamas. Teaching in these exciting topics: unreached people groups, strategic church, becoming a kingdom-minded leader, how to plant a church in a global city, prayer and fasting, doing church in multiple locations, everyone in ministry, and synergizing apostolic movements. It's going to be 2 days of synergizing, systematizing, and strategizing. So you got to be there. Registration are as follows.
Service to Guyana for over 16 years. We also offer tours, chauffeur service, and even car rentals. You can call us at 231-5554 or 225-5496. For deals, specials, and more information, find our page on Facebook, Oasis Ride Taxi Service. Let's go.
So, you have finally been allocated a house lot and you're ready to build your dream home. What is the next step? Get your building plan drawn by a professional. Good plan? Bad plan? Submit your finished plan to the Neighborhood Democratic Council or Town Council for building permission, along with other relevant documents. Do not build before you receive permission from the relevant authority, which is determined by the local authority. Once permission has been granted, only then should you proceed with construction. At every stage of construction, ensure that you and your contractor adhere to the specifications of the plan. If alterations are necessary, you must resubmit your plan to the NDC for approval of the changes. During construction, do not block drains and roadways with construction materials. It is your duty to become familiar with the building codes, since this will safeguard you against discrepancies.
Welcome back. Today, former Bishop's High School teacher Cohen Jackson was remanded to prison until later this month after being charged with an indictable sexual offense. Jackson will be remanded to prison until March 15, 2018, when he is expected to make another court appearance. The former business teacher was charged with engaging in sexual activity with a child under 16 years old. Jackson allegedly committed the offense between December 2010 and May 2011. Now we take a look at oil. Following today's opening ceremony of the People of African Descent Conference, Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenidge expressed anger over certain media reports regarding the ExxonMobil PSA, calling them both mindless and irresponsible in nature. Despite the seemingly unwelcome climate, nonetheless, Greenidge asserts that foreign investors are still very much interested in Guyana. Wendell Jeffrey reports.
A seemingly annoyed and defensive Minister of Foreign Affairs, Carl Greenidge, sought to address the ongoing issue of the anomalies of the ExxonMobil oil contract and the operations of that company here in Guyana. He said that the company has to deal with a constant barrage of negativities.
What they have to perhaps deal with are a lot of the very negative and sometimes ignorant comments being made in connection with policies and the nature of contracts governing the exploitation of oil and gas.
Minister Greenidge feels that the oil and gas are no different from any of the other extractive resources of Guyana.
Let me first of all say to you, gas and oil are commodities. They don't have manganese, which we were producing in the 1960s, or any other commodities.
The level of negativity towards the contract is unprecedented in the minister's mind.
And I have not seen anywhere else, and I have spent some time teaching development economics, a place where a few persons with such negative views of development have been able to gain such traction in the community. The diplomats.
In the local press, especially in the print media, there is a daily onslaught of comparative exposés that seem to poke holes in the profit-sharing agreement, PSA, between the Guyana government, including diplomats, who think that it is good for Guyana and its people. They feel that it provides opportunities for Guyanese to benefit from the terms and agreements.
Diplomats have been aware, and they have, if you like, during the course, for example, of the last heads of mission, looked at some of the issues concerned with enhancing investment, trying to ensure that the Guyanese community itself abroad is aware of opportunities, is involved in those opportunities.
The international community does not see what some of the local critics are seeing. The minister seems to suggest that with all the negative press the oil investment is getting, it is not affecting other investors.
The public abroad doesn't have a perception of a Guyanese community prompted to have and implement policies that are perhaps capricious or ill-informed. What they have to do is to know what is required to facilitate investment and for the world to understand what Guyana stands for and to understand that it can provide a predictable investment environment. This is one of our biggest challenges. You have to nurture and maintain an image of an acceptable host to investment.
For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks, Wendell. And at the same press conference, Minister Greenidge expressed the belief that the government's contract with ExxonMobil is, in fact, a good deal. Here again is Wendell Jeffrey.
Minister Carl Greenidge is not pleased with much of the negative commentary surrounding the ExxonMobil contract.
Whilst nobody can object to critiques or criticisms or questions, some of this is irresponsible.
Today, the minister
have to perhaps deal with are a lot of the very negative and sometimes ignorant comments being made.
Channel 2 Headline News asks the minister if there is any substance to the daily critique that the Exxon PSA is receiving.
Is there any substance
in the writings of Dr. Clive Thomas to make his case?
A good deal agreement fashioned by one country and compare it mindlessly to others. Physical circumstances even of Guyana and Ghana, Guyana, Uganda are quite different. Offshore isn't just offshore. Offshore can mean just offshore, it can mean deep sea, for example. Our oil, petroleum reserves are quite far out into the deep water, 3,000 meters and thereabouts. It requires a lot of investment. There are lots of risks involved because you may know the oil is there, but to get it out is another problem.
The minister went on to suggest that the oil investors are taking a risk and that they should be rewarded for that risk because of the threats from both the east and the west of our borders.
We face special problems. Both of our neighbors have, at various points, used force against those who are trying to help us develop those resources. All of those things have to be taken into account.
The minister noted that much of the local reporting mirrors the opinions of nations who wish to stymie Guyana's development. Nonetheless, he asserts that the media must be careful and objective with their critiques.
You can see some of them linked very closely, one newspaper in particular, pursuing policies which, if you look at them carefully, are identical to those that are being put out by one of our neighbors who is very much interested in stopping the work of Exxon offshore. Now, why should one of our newspapers be carrying a policy along those lines? The petroleum analysis they're supposed to be carrying out is no different from the commentaries in relation to our territorial integrity. And we have to look at that. We have to look at
The minister said that we need to look at that. What he means by we is not clear. For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks again, Wendell. The Maritime Administration is advocating for vessels operating in Guyana's waterways to be insured. The administration's director, Claudette Rogers, told the Department of Public Information that it is mandatory that ocean-faring vessels weighing 500 tons and above to be insured. According to Rogers, the regulatory agency is now in talks with relevant stakeholders regarding the move. Need a ride around town and beyond? Look no further than Oasis Ride taxi service. With affordable prices and some of the best drivers in the business, we've been delivering prompt and reliable service to Guyana for over 16 years. We also offer tours, chauffeur service, and even car rentals. You can call us at 231-5554 or 225-5496. For deals, specials, and more information, find our page on Facebook. Oasis Ride Taxi Service. Let's go.
I know who I am. I know who I am. I am yours. I am yours. I know who I am. Oh, I know who I am. I know who I am. I am yours. I am yours. And you are
The Billion Souls Guyana Incorporated presents its third conference for pastors and leaders at the Princess Ramada Hotel, East Bank, Demerara, on Tuesday, March 13th and Wednesday, March 14th, 2018, from 9 a.m. sharp to 4 p.m. at an unbeatable cost of $15,000 per person. With speakers Reverend Ijaz Nabi of the USA, Dr. David Sabrapina of the Philippines, Dr. John Smith of Guyana, Dr. Kirsch Darville, and Dr. Burton Lockhart of the Bahamas. Teaching in these exciting topics: unreached people groups, strategic church, becoming energizing. So you got to be there. Registration are as follows.
So, you have finally been allocated a house lot and you're ready to build your dream home. What is the next step? Get your building plan drawn by a professional. Good plan? Bad plan? Submit your finished plan to the neighborhood deputies. However, in the interim, you can commence preparatory works for construction such as cleaning of vegetation and drains. Approval of the plan, which is determined by the local authority. Once permission has been granted, only then should you proceed with construction. At every stage of construction, ensure that you and your contractor adhere to the specifications of the plan. If alterations are necessary, you must resubmit your plan to the NDC for approval of the changes. During construction, do not block drains and roadways with construction materials. It is your duty to become familiar with the building codes, since this will safeguard you against discrepancies.
And now, here's